Hello and welcome to People Keep Dying, a podcast about people who die. I'm your host, Angela, and today I'm joined by Alice Little. She is a sex worker at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, but you used to work at the Sagebrush Ranch as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for having me as a guest.
No problem. I'm really happy to actually not cover a murder or even like a weird death. We were actually going to talk about someone who died the way that he would have wanted to die, I think.
I definitely would say so. Passing in his sleep after having a sexual experience, not a bad way to go.
Yeah, and partying all night with his friends and like having something to look forward to the next day, like it's great. Like he died the way that most people would like to have died. And of course, we're talking about Dennis Hof, who is the owner of 7 or 6 bunny ranches.
Mm-hmm. He owned the largest number of legal brothels in the state of Nevada.
Yes. And I'm going to just do a quick, what he did, a very short explanation of who he is. Dennis Hof was born October 14th, 1946. And before going into the legal brothel business, he was most known for, Dennis owned a couple of gas stations and also worked in timeshare, I believe, that he talked about in his book, his autobiography, The Art of a Pimp. He purchased the Moonlight Bunny Ranch in 1992, and he kind of revitalized the whole brothel industry because before then, brothel owners were basically low profile and let the customers do whatever they wanted, and then they had a price set for the house. But Dennis basically let people become their own independent contractors, and that includes price so that you yourself can set the price, correct?
Mm-hmm. He saw the way that things were being conducted within the industry. A number of the ladies would patronize his gas stations, and he would hear stories about things that would happen. And, he wasn't really thrilled with the way that the ladies in this industry were being treated. He didn't like the fact that they were required to work long hours of shifts, that they had to accept whatever the house prices were. And so when he went into the industry, he decided to completely revolutionize it. He introduced sales classes, which was completely new and had never been done before in the industry. He started to give the girls business advice. He started to treat them rather as sex workers. He treated them as sex entrepreneurs.
And he also encouraged all you guys to set goals from what he told the reporter on Quartz. He would tell girls you could work 5 years and work hard and talk to a financial advisor and basically set yourself for a win and later in life so that you actually had something, you weren't going to go broke trying like a lot of sex workers unfortunately do because they don't learn any of the financial aspects of what you do when you get all this money. And from what I understand, he did teach all of you, or not teach, but offered lessons on how to make sure that you guys are all financially secure, which I thought was amazing.
Oh, yes. You figure Dennis brought in financial advisors completely free of charge to the ladies just to simply advise us, to give us solid information. How do we plan for taxes at the end of the year as an independent contractor? What kind of LLC is most appropriate for the industry? What kind of write-offs are we able to take on our taxes? Those things, well, they sound pretty unremarkable, are actually quite remarkable because what he essentially did was empower women. He took an industry that was sexist and he made it feminist, where the women are the one who win. The women are the one who earn. The women are the one who are successful. And that is such a beautiful thing.
I was actually shocked to read all of that because I didn't know too much about him. And, all you ever hear about are the bad things about the sex industry. And for him to be someone who was so against sex trafficking and really wanting to help felt like he wasn't what the media portrayed him to be, and I kind of appreciate that. But of course, you know him more personally than most people would. So
yes, I've had the opportunity to work with Dennis for the past 3 years. You figure I'm the most successful sex worker in my industry, which of course made me to be the most successful employee that he had underneath him. As such, I had the privilege of getting to chat with him fairly frequently about work and all sorts of business concepts.
was there anything that like he told you that maybe you want to share?
Oh, yes.
Just women in general.
He had this saying to always be future minded, to always be looking forward, that life is lived essentially in one direction, and that if you're not focusing on the future, you're standing still. In this industry, it is absolutely real impossible for somebody to walk in, fall in love with a lady, and he be a multimillionaire, and all of a sudden her financial life and profile is completely changed.
And then hope that he doesn't, just kind of leave you in the dust in the future as well, because you have to be financially independent as well.
Exactly. It's all about knowing how to manage money. And he wanted to set people up for long-term sustainable success. He wanted the girls to be able to retire. He loved the idea that this industry gave women the power to be able to take control of their lives and determine the direction that they wanted them to go in.
Was there like an age typically where you would usually retire at a brothel or one of his brothels? Like, is there like around an age like where women usually step away from the whole thing? What would you say the age is, like a retirement age?
Ooh, well, you figure among the ladies it totally varies, because at a certain point, retirement gets to be a choice where you have the financial backing that you can say, you know what, I could retire, but you know what, I really love this career in this industry, and I'm going to choose to keep going. Air Force Amy is a classic example of someone who could have retired 7, 8, 9, 10 times over, and yet she stayed so dedicated to this industry and the continuation of it.
And do you guys still currently have like the free sex for armed forces that she introduced?
I believe she is still offering that special. It's the beauty of independent contractors, is that each lady is able to choose what kind of specials she offers. So like, I offer a military discount. A lot of the other ladies offer a military discount. Air Force Amy rolled out a special program a couple years back for military servicemen. It's just about a way to give back to people who give so much. We choose who we see, when we see them, what services to offer, and we get to say no at any point in time for any reason. And it's only because of Dennis that has become the industry standard. Now, within all of the legal brothels, that has truly become the standard for operation. I believe there's only one rural brothel left that still maintains a fixed price rate. And even then, I imagine over the next few years, we're going to see that business model no longer be successful.
Because I do feel like you do bring more customers in as well if you have an incentive. So it's like you make more money, the owners make more money. It's kind of a win-win situation.
You figure when people are being treated well at work and they have a good work environment, they're happy to be there. Like, I could have retired from this job a couple of months ago, but I love this. I'm so into this and dedicated to this, and the company treats me so well that I don't want to leave. They have such good employee culture in that way, where it truly feels like a supportive house of women who are all trying to build each other up. It's very normal now to see women in the hallway chatting about upcoming photo shoots, talking about their plans for different promotions, figuring out how can we make the pool party even more fun and enjoyable for guests. And again, Dennis very much so led by example. That's who he was. When he came into the bunny ranch, he would sit and offer to buy the girls a drink, gather round, let's hang out. And then he would start talking business. He would share successful investments. He would tell us stories of failed investments and things that he messed up, mistakes that he had made, so we could learn from those. It was really wonderful, and I appreciated that so, so much.
And in his autobiography, he mentioned that he only dates sex workers or people in the industry. Was he like a recurring customer, you would say, in your place of work?
No, I did not have any kind of intimate relations with Dennis Hof. That wasn't something I was interested in. Mm-hmm. And again, because it's an independent contractor status, you can say no to anyone at any point in time for any reason that you so choose. And he respected that.
And that's amazing.
Yeah. So you figure, did he have relationships with some of the ladies? Yes. But they were consensual relationships in which the women were choosing to engage in them. There was never any force or coercion or pressure. It wasn't, oh, if you don't date the boss, you're going to lose your job. Like, no, that's not what it was.
It seems better than most industries at this point, honestly.
Yeah. At the same time, we can talk about the fact that maybe it does cross some like employee-employer boundaries to go into intimate relationships. That's absolutely open for debate. I do think it's questionable. Personally, I'm not really sure where the ethics do fall on that. At the same time, I think it's important to be mindful of how somebody grew up generationally and what was considered acceptable and professional in that place and time. Like you had said, Dennis was an older gentleman who entered this industry kind of as a second career after already building up a successful business of gas stations and selling timeshare properties. As such, he probably did have some antiquated and outdated ideas in regards to the ethics around dating employees.
You do see that with the older generation, but I do admit that like him revolutionizing the industry was a really big deal because he had very, I would say even more liberal ideas of how women should be treated in that aspect at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely so. Dennis self-identified as being a feminist. He considered himself an ally to women's rights and women's rights organizations. The Bunny Ranch would always have a donation box in all of our parlors, and still to this day, we've kept this tradition going that features a local charity. Oftentimes, that looked like us donating money to women's shelters and covering programming expenses for them, because he always wanted to give back to the community that really gave him so much.
So I'm going to shift over to the day he died because it was kind of an interesting way that he was found. On October 16, 2018, following the weekend of partying for his 72nd birthday, Dennis was found unresponsive by Ron Jeremy. And that must have been crazy.
Like, let's unpack that sentence. Dennis Hof, 72 years old, had a crazy whirlwind of a birthday weekend where he celebrated with Ron Jeremy and all sorts of celebrities. He then had intercourse consensually with one of the ladies, received 2 ice pops from the cashier before bed. It was kind of a joke like, oh, we know Dennis had a good night. He asked for sugar-free ice pops. And so he had a wonderful evening. And then he passed away in his sleep. There's no signs that he was in any distress. He literally got to slip away after the most idealistic birthday weekend. I have to say, at his eulogy, they truly said it best. Dennis died in the way every man dreams of dying.
I would say every person dreams of dying because honestly, if I was going to go, that would be the best possible way I could go.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's amazing. Like, I never get to cover people who died peacefully in their sleep after a rager with, with Ron Jeremy finding me. Like, that's...
Like Ron Jeremy, of all people, the world famous porn star finds him. Like, oh my God. We were almost joking about it a little bit, while also processing the fact that Dennis had passed, that he would love the headlines so much. He's probably in heaven right now, just chuckling to himself, thinking this is funny as can be. Because, like, that's the kind of humor that he had. Oftentimes, in promoting the Bunny Ranch, he had to do alternative media things. Not a lot of people realize this, but the Bunny Ranch and the legal brothel industry is not able to pay for promotion. We can't run ads, we can't have billboards, we can't be in magazines or newspapers, but the news is able to write stories about us. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes there would be all sorts of funny promotional things happening that the media would write about. Everything from, for the summer, we're going to allow girls an additional percentage to help pay off their student loans. We're going to match the student loan payments. We're doing a virgin auction, like we're going to auction off someone's virginity.
I do remember that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and some of them were very controversial, like a virgin auction. That's a little crazy, like definitely controversial, but it was worth talking about, which is what the end goal of it was let's talk about this. The Bunny Ranch is here. It's in existence. We have legal brothels as an option in this country, and people don't know about it. The awareness and knowledge of it simply isn't there.
And I see that, like, after he passed, because he had, run for state legislator, and then ended up winning after.
It's so great.
It was crazy.
It was so amazing.
He had signs out saying that he had died. So, like, people were voting for him, even despite the fact that
he died.
Yeah.
Like, I really wonder how his opponent feels about being beaten by a dead man. Like, that's got to be a little strange.
It's embarrassing, but at the same time, it's like, man, did they just not want anyone at that point? Because where did they think that the seat was going to go if he died, or when he's already dead? Sorry.
Well, you figure the way it worked is that another person from his political party was appointed to that seat. So essentially, he was running saying, do you want this Democrat or would you want a different Republican? And people said, hey, we want a different Republican. We're voting for Dennis because we want the things that he was running on. Water rights, freedoms, lower taxes for rural Nevada. He saw the need in some of these rural counties, which, let's be frank and real here, are very poor, very rural counties, oftentimes with elderly communities that aren't getting the support they need. Things like property tax increases are the difference between someone being able to keep their home or being forced to sell it and move into a retirement community. Like, he saw those things and was horrified by them, which is why he decided to get in politics. He believed he could make valuable, genuine change. And he felt so passionately about it that he decided to run for office. Not once, but twice.
Yes, because he ran as a libertarian, I think, the very first time, but I think he realized he needed to join a bigger party if he wanted a chance at the seat.
That is correct. Dennis was very much so a rhino, a Republican in name only, in my opinion anyway. I think, and again, just my opinion, I've always thought that Dennis was more of a libertarian at heart. He was always for freedoms, small businesses. He very much so upheld the values of the Libertarian Party. Then again, one could theoretically argue that some of the values of the Republican Party aren't too far off in terms of conservatism around small government and wanting businesses to be able to have control. Like, I can see why he chose to go with the Republican Party. I can see that the ends justified the means in that case.
And it's probably surprising in a lot of ways that someone who'd own brothels would be running for the Republican Party, because they are known to be more conservative and kind of more against something along what line of business he was in.
You would think that, but, and this is terribly interesting, I've always been a little bit more liberal-leaning, liberal-minded, but when the legalization of Nevada brothels were challenged, it was the conservatives that came to our support and defense. They said, no, this is legal enterprise. You are valid, and we stand with you. This, what's happening right now, this threat against a legal industry, is an abomination. We had the local Republican Party for Nevada show their support, come out and assist us in educating the public about who we are and what we do. When you take the stigma out of the industry and look at it as just another legal industry, of course the Republicans would be the ones to defend that. Yeah, you pay your taxes, you pay your business license fees, you have a right to do business. That's essentially what they were defending. And it's really cool to see that they were willing to look past the stigma associated with this industry, which really cannot be downplayed. Like, talking of crazy industry stigma, I literally just this morning received an email from a company that had previously reached out to me to do social media influencing for them. I guess they didn't do their research or something, but they sent me a nasty email demanding I take down the social media post and cancel the partnership immediately.
That's crazy.
By the way, that company's name is Fab Fit Fun.
Oh, wow.
Do not support them. They are not a genuinely feminist business. They do not genuinely support women, and their actions show that they have no issues judging someone for a perfectly legal career. And at the end of the day, guys, you contacted me.
Yeah, did they not know what you did? Like, you just saw like your follower account and assumed that you were just an influencer, but didn't read your profile in any way or look.
Apparently, like, hi, I'm the Alice Little. You can literally go to my website, thealicelittle.com, and it's very clear that I am an open and proud sex worker. I'm an advocate, an educator. I am involved in politics for my industry. I live this. I breathe this. I am out to my family, my friends. Everyone in my life knows what I do. I am literally the most vocal and out there advocate for this. So it just blows my mind to receive that kind of response in turn. How unprofessional.
Do you see yourself going into politics after like your stint at the Bunny Ranch?
I wouldn't say politics so much as lobbying.
Oh, okay. Just like advocacy as well.
Dennis, and again, going back to Dennis here, seeing what he did for the Nevada brothel industry inspired the hell out of me. The fact that he was giving rights and the ability to succeed beyond their wildest dreams to women that otherwise may be judged poorly by society, that's incredible. I want to continue his legacy. I want to be the person who takes brothels out of Nevada and brings them from coast to coast legally. That's my goal.
I believe that that's a really good goal, because I've always thought to myself it was kind of weird to kind of punish women for trying to do something that, you know, like they want to do. And that's the problem with sex trafficking as well. It's like without any legal outlets for people to go and, be able to buy it, that's what they're forced into.
Yes.
They're forced into doing something illegal and dangerous.
Exactly. They create criminals by eliminating the legal industry. Like when we criminalized alcohol in the 1930s, do you think that bars went away? No, they went underground and went to this illegal black market of bootlegging alcohol that literally killed people. You had gangsters and mobsters involved and really crazy stuff happening because it was unregulated industry. When you legalize it, you tax it, and you have it in the foreground as a part of society, it's a benefit to society. You figure sex workers provide a service to the community that is desperately needed. And that service is the acceptance. It's feeling loved for who you are without judgment. Sex workers are amongst the most non-judgmental, caring, giving, and kind human beings on the planet. Like, these are the women that literally, I have one coworker who drives around with little care packages for homeless people. She has socks and food and medical care. Like, she's got Advil in there in case they need anything. She's got like Band-Aids, water bottles, like she's got tampons for women that are homeless. Just because she's such a kind-hearted person that if she ever is out and about and sees somebody in need, this way she's able to help. I have coworkers that literally have donated thousands of dollars to support nonprofit charities, animal shelters that have assisted their time and volunteered in children's hospitals, all sorts of amazing things that people would never expect.
It's kind of amazing to hear just, I guess, like the varying, like you don't normally think that. I think a lot of people don't view a lot of people in the sex industry as people, unfortunately. And it is really amazing to see like what people do on their free time, and just to listen to like just the kindness in like the hearts of people who really just want to help.
It's true. No one enters this industry because they're looking to make a quick dollar. That's not the motivation, though that's oftentimes the social perception. Oh, she wants money, she wants this, yeah. And it's like, no, that's not the motivation at all.
It's not like the majority of people, because obviously there's always going to be some
always
but that's not everyone.
And unfortunately, people take that Hollywood stereotype and blow it out of proportion to the point that we assume that is the norm. I've always said that I know my job is done when the media no longer looks at me as being remarkable. I'm not remarkable. I'm a successful sex worker. I'm one of many. By all means, I am different. I do my own thing. I'm the first person to bring sex education into the brothel system. And I definitely have done things. I don't want to downplay my own success, but like at the same time, I don't want the media treating me as remarkable just because I'm a successful sex worker. Like, treat me as remarkable for the right reasons, maybe, but like, you know, this shouldn't be so taboo. It shouldn't be so, oh, she's a sex worker and she chooses to do that job? Oh my God, how unheard of. Well, actually, there's lots of women that want to be legal sex workers, but there isn't a way for them to enter the industry legally.
I've heard there's a big list to get into Bunny Ranch as well if you want to be a worker there.
There is a waiting list. It is an application process. And the reality is there are not enough Nevada brothels to support the number of women that wish and want to enter this industry. As such, women have to wait. Why not open more brothels, guys? Why not extend this? Because clearly society is wanting it. We have workers looking to participate in it. And let's be frank, we have a nation that's in trillions of dollars of debt right now. Maybe a new multi-billion-dollar economy is a good idea. We can tax it for society's benefit. And just like alcohol, when we tax it, we can use those tax dollars to offset any social ills caused by that industry's existence.
And I think that's what they're doing with the weed industry as well.
Exactly. It's funny you mentioned that. I recently had the opportunity not too long ago. Once again, thank you, Dennis. He knew I was interested in lobbying. So he sent an email to some of the top marijuana lobbyists and said, hey, I have this girl. She's interested in learning what it looks like to make systematic change and get a new industry legalized. She wants to bring sex work out of Nevada and take it to the other 50 states. And I think you're the right people to mentor her. And I got to sit down with these people, and they were so kind, so wonderful, forthright with information, knowledge, and suggestions. Oh my goodness, it was such a cool experience. And again, I get to thank Dennis for that. It was a positive influence that he brought into my life. And goodness knows he didn't have to do that. That was truly a kindness.
Do you think he learned while running the business? Because he wrote about it in his own book. His book was obviously filled with all of his friends and colleagues, talking him up and saying he's a great person. But he interestingly ended it with the accusations that Cammie Parker had, as well as a psychologist calling him a narcissist. So when asked why he would put that in his own book, he just said that all points of view should be out there. And do you think when he hears stuff like that, or he does anything, he learns from every experience and he does adjust? Or do you think maybe when he was alive that he kind of still did what he wanted?
I feel like until the day we die, we never stop learning and growing as people. Mm-hmm. We can always improve. We can always be more self-aware and understand our internal motivations better. I believe Dennis was one of the rare individuals who truly worked on himself until the day he died. He was always open to feedback, always open to different viewpoints. You figure if he was a true narcissist, as let's say that psychologist was saying, I don't believe he would have had the ability to be self-aware and acknowledge it. And let's say he is a narcissist. I'm not a medical professional. I can't make a diagnosis. Even if that was the case, he acknowledged that viewpoint. He didn't push it away or deny it. He said, okay, that's a valid viewpoint. I'm going to give people that opinion as well.
And I do have to admit that not a lot of people would do that. So I felt like it did kind of change my mind, because I didn't really have a lot of opinions, but just kind of gave me a different viewpoint about him, because he didn't have any shame of what other people were saying about him either.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. A lot of people, I'm sure, are peripherally aware of the YouTube beauty community and the fact that the YouTube beauty community has a lot of drama within it.
Oh, yeah.
Just recently, there was some drama involving James Charles and Tatiana in regards to some falling out with the friendship. And essentially, the internet took it as a rallying cry to, quote unquote, cancel James Charles, which I don't follow that community. I do not have any judgments or opinions on that situation. But what I extrapolated from that is that why are we throwing people away in society? People aren't trash. Cancel culture and the idea that people are all good or all bad is really toxic when it comes down to it. I've always had the opinion that people are a mixed balance sheet of good and bad. Everyone has personality traits that are excellent and personality flaws. That's true of all people. And yet, with celebrities, we'll initiate cancel culture because we don't like a sentence that they said or an opinion that they had.
And it's not giving them an opportunity to change or like learn as well. Like what's wrong with just giving them a chance to learn? Because how unfair is it to judge someone and be like, that's what you are?
People have the capacity to adapt, learn, grow, and change. I've always felt that people are not disposable. When we see someone that's made a mistake or maybe done wrong, we as society should help that person reconcile and understand the mistakes they made, and then help them, if applicable, to make reparations to the communities that they've damaged, the peoples that they have harmed, to genuinely and forthright apologize. But there has to be a point in which people are then able to re-enter society and be accepted without being permanently judged for whatever that thing may be. And I think both in life and in death, that people need to not be judged based off a single facet of themselves. People are jewels. We're multifaceted. We have multiple opinions, multiple viewpoints, various parts of our personalities that make us unique and essentially the individuals that we are. I mean, in my opinion, I've always thought that that is the true treasure of human connection, is the fact that all of us are so different and complex. I love that about humanity. It's honestly the reason why I got into this profession, is because I just love people so much.
And I have a question. What do you think is going to happen to the Bunny Ranch now that Madame Suzette took over?
You know, I see this as being a really positive step in the right direction. Now, we have a feminist industry being spearheaded by a female. That's really cool. A female holds the record for the most number of legal brothel licenses. A female is the one who is now empowering these women and giving them the opportunity to achieve and succeed. And I'm so excited to see where her vision takes this company over the next few years.
Because she's been in the industry for about 30 years or so, or more?
Yes. She entered not long after Dennis initially purchased the ranch. He hired her within a couple of weeks when he first assumed ownership to take over the door position. She then worked through quite literally every single role of the company, from cashier, accounting, she'd done the finances. Now, she was never a working girl, let's be clear. She didn't work that side of the industry, but the back end, she's done cashier, she's been a door host, she's been a bartender. She is a humble human being who, if, let's say, one of our employees went into labor unexpectedly, like we have a cashier that's pregnant at the moment, like let's say she went into labor at work and, oh my God, no one else is available to cover. I have no doubt in my mind that Suzette would come and work as a cashier for the day, because that's what's needed. She's a team player. She's a leader, a quality leader at that. And I think that she's going to bring real positive influence to the Bunny Ranch. So I'm just so excited. It's going to be such a good summer and such an exciting next few years to come for the industry.
That's amazing to hear. Like, it's just, I'm almost out of words, like how passionate you are. And just, it's so great to hear someone who's in the industry very much advocating for it and talking about a man who did change it in such a positive light as well, but also seeing that he does, you know, there are both sides of him. He's not gonna, no one's perfect. And I'm glad to hear you basically, I guess, confront that or be okay with the fact that he is a multifaceted person.
Absolutely. I'm a multifaceted person. You're a multifaceted person. Everyone has things in their life that they regret. Everyone has incredible successes that they are proud of. We need to stop judging and start accepting people in life as well as in death. We have to be kind. We have to be caring. We have to be human to each other, like humankind. That, like, we have to, it's literally right in the sentence itself, humankind. Be kind to your fellow human beings, for we are each other's community. We are family, essentially, in the way that we as the human race are all progressing towards the same betterment of society for everyone. We all want to see a cancer treatment emerge that's successful. Heck, we all want to see a cancer cure emerge. That's something that benefits everyone in society, and we all care about that. When that day comes, all of humanity will celebrate. In my opinion, we shouldn't just celebrate the big wins of society. Yay, we cured cancer, but you know what? We should be celebrating the little things in society. Like, wow, around the globe, there are LGBT rights happening, and people's minds are changing every single day. The Catholic churches are reversing some of their opinions about LGBT relationships, and I just think that's so beautiful.
So as I end this podcast, I'm going to, I found some kind of interesting news that I wanted to see if was accurate or if you knew about. Mm-hmm. But according to TMZ, Dennis's last resting place, which was the mattress he was on, was sold to paranormal investigator Zach Baggins. And it was the same mattress that Lamar Odin OD'd on in 2015.
Yeah. Well, what I can say,
mattress was sold. Like, I didn't know if this was like general news, but I did find it online, so I wasn't sure if you were allowed to say anything about it. But he was going to put it up in his haunted mansion in Las Vegas with Ted Bundy's glasses. Like, he has a lot of paranormal and I think the murderphilia stuff. So I didn't know if you knew anything about that.
Well, I can confirm that the mattress does exist, that it was indeed the same bed that Lamar overdosed on, that Dennis passed away on. That mattress is somewhere in the state still, and soon more information will come to light about where that mattress may be.
Because it wasn't 100% confirmed, but there is talk. So
there is talk, and you're right. Nothing is 100% confirmed at this time. I certainly cannot confirm, nor can I deny anything, but I can definitely confirm that mattress does exist. It truly was, as crazy and unbelievable as it may be, literally 3 years to the day that Lamar overdosed, that Dennis passed away on that bed.
And do you think Dennis would have loved it? Like, loved the fact that someone bought the mattress after he died on it? Like, do you think he would have loved it, or do you think he would have found it a little weird?
Are you kidding me? Dennis would have thought it was the greatest thing ever. Dennis would have wanted his funerary services to look like a national parade with all of the ladies getting dates to the event. Like, Dennis lived larger than life, and even in death, he still is really larger than life. I mean, he won a seat in the Senate after he was already dead. Who does that? Dennis Hof does that.
Were the girls all like not working at the time of his funeral, or did everyone still continue to work because that's maybe what he wanted? And was there like a big party afterwards? Because I feel like he might have wanted like a big celebration of his life after
It was. You figure we did have a celebration of life memorial service. For the first time in the history of the Bunny Ranch, the doors were closed and the business was shut for the duration of the service, so all staff and ladies would be able to attend. But by all means, when we got word of his passing that night, there was a conversation amongst the ladies and staff of, do we close for the evening? What would Dennis do? What would Dennis have wanted us to do? Dennis would want us to break open a bottle of champagne. He would want us to all be sitting in the parlor together, supporting each other, and telling stories and making it fun, making it a safe place to share those emotions. That's what he would have wanted. And so that is exactly what we did. You figure the Bunny Ranch is very much so a community. And our guests are a part of that community too. They mourned just like we mourned when Dennis died. They felt it just like we felt it. They supported us and we were there for them too. Like, very much so. He had an impact on everyone that he met. Anybody, you walked into the Bunny Ranch and Dennis would wave, hey, can I buy you a drink? Come tell me about yourself. He treated everyone like royalty. He was such a kind human being and such an accepting human being of people just the way that they were, without judgment. He never judged the sex workers. He never judged the guests. He never judged his employees. He just accepted everyone and appreciated them. And it's such a rare thing in society for someone to be able to do that. And so I really just, I'm getting all choked up now thinking about it. Like, I really appreciate him. He was a really cool guy.
I'm glad to hear that he kind of, I'm in the end, I'm really happy that, like, just to hear about someone who died exactly the way he died. You don't really get to hear a lot of people die, celebrating their own life in a party that crazy in their own sleep. Like, I'm so glad that he got to.
Bob Zamuda was giving the eulogy and said, Dennis, fuck you. Really? That's how you died? Really? Fuck you. Like, wow. What do you even say? Like, he had it all. God bless him. Like, he really had it all. Like, he had brothels. He had a birthday celebration. Like, oh my God. It's incredible.
So, in case my viewers didn't realize, you actually reached out to me because I think you're interested just in general about, deaths and stuff. So I had a question for you on do you have a type of death that you are more interested in? Like, is there something that when you read on the news or you read a story about, what piques your interest?
I do. It's really, really morbid, but I'm utterly fascinated by drownings because it's such an abnormal and unusual way to go that there usually are complicating situations and it's always just such fascinating cases to see how did they end up dying of water inhalation? Oh my God, something happened, and I just think that's so cool. And yeah, that's actually why I ended up reaching out to you, is because I love your show, and I was like, you know what, I want to talk about this. This would be kind of fun.
Thank you. I'm so glad you got to listen in before this big podcast change that I did. But thank you so much. And I have to admit, I always find like anything where it's accidental or like structural buildings or like sinkings to be interesting because it's something that you can't control.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Some of the structural stuff when it comes to earthquakes. Oh, that stuff is so neat.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you so much for taking time out of your day for this
It's
interview.
like, did we just become like morbid best friends for a
Yes,
second? Like,
we did.
wait a minute. Yes, I love stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. Yes.
And if you would like to be on the podcast, just reach out and let me know, and I'll find a story we can talk about.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I would love that. Like, oh my gosh, you figure like there's lots of interesting deaths associated with the independent and unfortunately criminalized sex work industry. And some of those might be interesting.
Yes, there's way too many, unfortunately, but there are a lot of them, which I have read. So
yeah, and maybe even just talking about the fact that sex workers keep dying in Sesta Fosta. That could be a really interesting episode.
I would love to talk to you about that in the future. So I guess to our viewers, if you would also like it, let me know, and I'll be sure that we get Alice back for another episode. Thank you so much for being a guest. And yeah, I guess I will end the episode with, if you would like to reach us, please email us at peoplekeepdying@gmail.com. If you want to plug in your Instagram and your website, you can do that right now.
Oh, yes. If anybody would like to visit my website, it is www.thealicelittle.com. You can always reach out to me over email, alicelittle@bunnyranch.com. I welcome any and all questions, comments, feedback. If there's something you want to know about the industry or some weird sex question that you have but have never been able to ask someone, hi, I'm a legal sex worker. I am a safe person for you to ask those questions. I got you.
And right now I usually plug a podcast I've been listening to or is a friend of the podcast, and I'd like to talk about Time for Your Hobby or mention them and say go listen to them. He interviews people about their hobbies, which is super interesting because I listened to one about K-pop and I loved it because I'm Korean. So anything to do with
awesome.
So if you have time, listen to them. But until next time, hopefully